Okie dokie, can we get one more song while I sort out technical issues?
Sure thing.
Okie dokie, can we get one more song while I sort out technical issues?
Sure thing.
Okie dokes, folks. I screwed that up and had to start the stream again. Okie dokie, folks. You're with Dumpster Truffles broadcasting around the world and across the galaxy. It's so good to see that you all have stuck by my side during my technical issues. Hopefully that won't happen too much more in the future. But these kinds of things are unavoidable. Anyway, I'd just like to say a big hello to everyone. Can the people who are in Discord please just say hello, introduce yourselves?
Hey guys, Puffy from the Netherlands saying hi to the world, have a good one.
Hey Pika, have you got a few words for the crowd, mate? You're live.
I'm watching an Aussie caster named Big Stack just doing various smoking things.
Okay, so video game
distracted.
stuff.
I didn't say video games.
What on earth are you doing then, Pika?
There's an Aussie whose YouTube channel is really called Big Stack Decasting. He just casts stuff as his YouTube videos. Quite fascinating.
Wow, okay.
I'll post a link to his channel.
G'day everyone. Hi, welcome. Awesome to be back here again. And Carmen, are you there?
Of course I'm here. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, all. Anyway, today I have good news, I have bad news, I have horrific information, but above all, I have the news. And this was put together by a whole team of people, including Oz and On. So I have many people to thank. And yeah, kids being rescued. This is happening now, right about now. From tunnel complexes underneath New York City, I believe. Several thousand children have been rescued, and the kids might not be in exactly the greatest of mental health or physical health. But we will discuss that in just a moment.
Don't forget spiritual health, given who has them imprisoned.
Yes, we're dealing with physically and psychologically damaged people. That much is absolutely certain.
I meant given who their captors are. You know, supposed Satanist.
Mate, I'm actually going to go there this evening. We don't have confirmation of this as yet. Hang on a minute. Let's get the devotional done. Make sure that we get off on the right foot. And I think I have confirmation for you, Oz and On. This came across my desk sometime this afternoon. Anyway, g'day Storm, and Jenna, and Rochelle, and Rhoda, and Lane, and who else have I missed? Say hello, guys. It's so good to be back amongst you again. I really enjoy this. This is really good fun.
Okay, so if you're ready for the devotional, this comes from Luke chapter 8, verses 4 through 15. While a large crowd was gathering and people were coming to Jesus from town after town, he told this parable. A farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path. It was trampled on, and the birds ate it up. Some fell on rocky ground, and when it came up, the plants withered because they had no moisture. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up with it and choked the plants. Still, other seed fell on good soil. It came up and yielded a crop, 100 times more than was sown. When he said this, he called out, "Whoever has ears to hear, let them hear." His disciples asked him what this parable meant. He said, "The knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of God has been given to you, but to others I speak in parables, so that though seeing, they may not see, though hearing, they may not understand." This is the meaning of the parable. The seed is the word of God. Those along the path are the ones who hear, and then the devil comes and takes away the word from their hearts, so that they may not believe and be saved. Those on the rocky ground are the ones who receive the word with joy when they hear it, but they have no root. They believe for a while, but in the time of testing, they fall away. The seed that fell among the thorns stands for those who hear, but as they go on their way, they are choked by life's worries, riches, and pleasures, and they do not mature. But the seed on good soil stands for those with a noble and good heart, who hear the word, retain it, and by persevering, produce a crop. Now, I found this in Bible study tools, and I thought they explained it better than I could have ever come up with. The parable of the sower was told to the crowd that had gathered around Jesus. Jesus tells a story of a sower who scattered seeds on 4 different types of soil. The first type of ground was hard, and the seed could not sprout or grow at all and became snatched up instantly. The second type of ground was stony. The seed was able to plant and begin to grow. However, it could not grow deep roots, and it withered in the sun. The third type of ground was thorny, and although the seed could plant and grow, it could not compete with the amount of thorns that overtook it. The fourth ground was good soil that allowed the seed to plant deep, grow strong, and produce fruit. Jesus used this parable to explain to his followers and the disciples how there are different responses to the saving gospel of Jesus Christ. The sower in the parable is Jesus, and the seed is the Word of God. Both Jesus' spoken
Test communication. You just dropped off there, Carmen. Are you okay?
Meow.
Bow. Gremlins. Carmen, do you want to give that another shot?
Oh no, not Carmen.
Not Carmen, and not now. Do you want to play a song, or maybe it'll take Carmen a moment?
I call this Carmen's theme.
Okie doke, so we got Carmen Morrison back. Are you in communication, Carmen? We have no Carmen at the moment, apparently. So I'm going to do my best to muddle through a prayer to start the show. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the warmth of family and friends, and we ask that you bless us in our purpose. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dumpster.
Not a problem. I don't have the words or the understanding that Carmen does, but I know the power of her prayer and I know when it's appropriate. So I was going to tell the guys, the guys out in YouTube at the moment, if it is physically within my means to be able to broadcast to you Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I will definitely be here. I actually anticipated more teething problems than I actually had, which is a good thing. But either way, we're here we've got some bad news, we've got some good news, we've got some just news. But either way, buckle up because I'm about to take you on a bit of a journey. And Carmen's got real problems. Hello, I'm connected but cannot hear. Oz, do you want to see if you can work with Carmen while I go through the meat and potatoes section, slot number 2? We can.
Hey,
Yo.
Before we continue, can I say something in Latin that I thought would be a fun thing?
Now would be appropriate, yes, sir.
Unus de Victoria, victory of the one. For those unfamiliar with the terminology, the one is basically followed by it's known by the current names: the one, the all, the light, life, God, Yahweh, I am that I am, Brahman, etc.
So the good guys. What was that phrase again? Latin for?
Victory of the one.
Victory of the one. Yes, we have one. And hang on, Carmen's back.
Yeah, where did y'all lose me?
You were explaining the power.
Yay!
Yay for Carmen. You were explaining Jesus scattering the seed upon the ground, and there were 4 types of ground.
Okay, well, I'll go back over that then.
Take it.
Well, I'll just pick up at the bottom of it. It just occurred to me that even in what we're doing here, there's often times that it's going to depend on the person's heart as to whether or not they accept what we have to tell them. You know, we've all witnessed varying degrees of acceptance or rejection of what we've learned in this process. Some of them will never be able to reach, but we're going to keep trying. We're not going to give up. Are you ready for the prayer?
I actually just gave a prayer, but we didn't know how long you were going to be out. But please go ahead.
Well, I specifically want to ask the Lord, please, you know about Jenna's friend Nikki and her son Logan. And we ask you to reach down and touch his little body and protect that family from this virus, and to shelter us all, Lord, under your wings as only you can. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Would you like to say a special prayer for the children who've been recently rescued?
Lord, I can't even begin to tell you how I'm feeling right now, but you know. You've seen what these children have been through, and you know it's going to be a long road to recovery if they ever get over it. But Lord, I ask you to touch their minds and heal their thought processes and help them to be able to recover. Touch their bodies, that anything that is wrong will be made right, and touch their hearts, that they might follow you. And Lord, be with everyone that is taking care of them, that they will know what these children need and be able to provide it. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Amen. Do we have any house cleaning? Can I clear the decks for the next slot in the program? Does anyone have anything that needs to be brought to our attention, or shall I just roll with what I've got?
Amen, Carmen.
Roll it.
Indeed, I will. Just a moment, guys, while I go through my files.
Rolling, rolling, rolling. Dumpsters rolling, rolling, roll on.
Yeah, rawhide.
Yeehaw!
Okay, I'm starting with the end that I picked up this afternoon. I'm looking at a tweet from Yiggs Starhouse. And Yig, the poster of this tweet, said, I asked the Marine this: can you say if the children are being rescued from these tunnels? Their response was affirmative, ongoing, and congruent with multiple agencies and military units. I'm going to pop this one open and have a good thorough look at it. Okay, Yig's first post was, they are taking some questions now. I will keep you updated. Meanwhile, the most recent. And this comes from Yig's Starhouse. And Yig asked the Marine, he actually asked this of the Marine, can you say if children are being rescued from these tunnels? And their response was affirmative, ongoing, and congruent with multiple agencies and military units. Anyway, I'm going to read through the actual responses to that. So, replying to Yig's Starhouse, I thought I was going to be able to handle the children's stories. Yesterday, I heard the nurse audio from Central Park, and it just devastated me. Next, we have a section that comes from the X22 report, April the 1st, and it reads, pure evil is about to be exposed to the world. Think logically. Why are hospitals being prepped? Why do we need ventilators? Why are mercy and comfort in the ports? These are hospital ships, I would assume. Or anyway, why has the censorship been removed from the Guard? How do you bring the country together? Children. And then we have an Anon called QAnon who says, remember this, everything we have learned over the past 3 years has prepared us for this moment in history. And just a moment while I see what else is in this thread.
I just had a revelation that I think I'll probably save for after you're done. It
If it's quick,
has a lot of plot points.
If it's quick, you can fit it in right now.
People, the shock that would occur from this kind of news would leave people rather paralyzed. They would not be able to do stuff. Society was moving at normal speed would grind to a halt in a more devastating fashion. Right now, people at least be in the comfort of their homes when their brains shut down from the shock.
Absolutely.
Basically,
that's what we're dealing
if this stuff the children's correct, even if the coronavirus is a hoax, there's a good reason to have the world shut down. The shock alone would cripple the world if it wasn't already in the in a better mental state to handle the shock.
Indeed, sir. We are
I
being
just
prepped for
realized that.
something. We're being prepped for something. Do you remember talking about... anyway, we can have this discussion at the other end of the show. Is that cool, Pika?
I may be cut into a burrito. I just realized that while you were doing these articles, I just wanted to share it.
They're getting us ready for something big. That much is certain. You don't put a whole planet on lockdown for something that's killed less than 50,000 people. You just don't. There's something in the works, something big and something good. And if we've got the Marines rescuing children from tunnels, it means it's probably
More accurately, you don't shut down the world for a virus whose natural cousin, common and natural, cousin is killed more.
True enough, Picker. Okay, I'm going to roll now with the good news. So just a moment while I go through my files, please.
In this situation, good news. Countless children being saved. Bad news. Countless children being safe and people don't go in the epileptic shock from the news.
Okie dokes. We're talking here about Madeleine McCann. And police released an e-fit of a stranger seen lurking near Praia da Luz apartment where she was taken from. The e-fits are clear, and I would ask the public to look very carefully at them. Redwood said, if you know who this person is, please come forward. And the two new witnesses say they saw the man in the Portuguese resort around the time the youngster, then aged 3, went missing. And I'm looking here at photo fits or identifits of what looks to be exactly like John and Tony Podesta. If you don't know who John and Tony Podesta are, you've got some homework. Scribble those names down, Podesta, and check that out.
One of them is an ex-FBI director here in the States.
True enough. We're talking about the elite. Anyway, so they have a face for their prime suspect, and now Scotland Yard detectives needed a name, yada, yada, yada. 2 e-fits of the mystery man were issued yesterday after 2 witnesses came forward to say they saw him in the Portuguese resort of Praia da Luz around the time the youngster, then aged 3, went missing. Just a moment, please. Okay, the police added the e-fits, that is the composed photographs, are clear, and I would ask the public to look very carefully at them, and if they know who he is, to please come forward. Excuse me. So we have influential brothers John and Tony Podesta, and even 10 years later, they still look eerily familiar. So what do you think? But I will warn you, they just happen to be 2 of the most influential political lobbyists in Washington, D.C., with one of them given credit for the success of Bill Clinton and Barack Obama's presidencies, and is now running Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. This is an older article, obviously. The next line in this article is rather interesting. Wow, just do not go there, okay? So back to looking for him, the one that just happens to look like both of these brothers. Then there is a rather interesting graphic that you can go through at your leisure. It's clear that John and Tony Podesta fit the identifit to a T, absolutely perfectly. So Podesta brothers Anthony Weiner and Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend Ghislaine Maxwell all appear to fit descriptions of suspicious characters provided by witnesses. So we're talking about a hunting party of the Podesta brothers, Anthony Weiner, and Epstein's girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, operating in Portugal when this child was taken. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to pull out of this article is Podesta influence on Clinton and Obama, Washington and America is a disgrace. I'll see what I can pull out of this article. Okay, now we get to the really interesting section that I wanted to get to. The previous section was just an introduction. This document asserts that a pedophile ring took Madeleine McCann to America, claims by a bouncer. And this is a long time ago. This is from 2011, this slab of text. Madeleine McCann was smuggled to America by a pedophile ring with connections in Britain, a club bouncer has claimed. Madeleine McCann was smuggled to America by a ring with connections to Britain. The Angolan bouncer said that the pedo ring is run by high-profile Portuguese businessmen and lawyers with international links. Madeleine is likely to have been smuggled to America. That's crucial. Remember, she was taken at age 3 and trafficked to America. According to Italiano 36, a number of respected figures in the towns of Faro and Albufeira are secretly involved. I know these people were involved, and I have been told that Madeleine McCann may now be in America. Okay, this is where it begins to get really quite disgusting. There have been over a dozen children kidnapped. They prey on the weak and the vulnerable, he told The Sun. Italiano said that he's been attacked by the gang several times for threatening to reveal the identity of its ringleader. He has now fled across the border into Spain after giving his dossier of information on the gang to police on Monday. And I'm jumping towards the end of this document here. And it's called Confirmed FBI Anon Information. The Podesta brothers were staying with a friend named Clem. That would be Clement Freud, who is the grandson of psychopathology sex expert Dr. Sigmund Freud, who was known to be a pedophile. This is a quote from our insider. Of greater interest is that fact that Freud owned a villa in Praia de Luz. So now take a look once again at the first photo posted above with John Podesta, sitting with several others in what appears to be a family card game with the girl to his right. What are your thoughts? Could this be Madeleine McCann? And that's all I need to pull out of that document. And now I'm going to jump to the good news section. Okay, this comes from March 27, Pamela lawyer Gilly points out that Madeleine McCann is Liberty. Okay, the young woman who was rescued by General Milley is the Statue of Liberty. Liberty was rescued. Read again closely. Donald Trump, 1 minute and 38. We were able to get a young woman released from a certain area who was being horribly, horribly accosted, horribly treated. And we spoke to General Milley. General Milley took care of it. We went in and got her out. And we'll report further on that one. But it was that rough. I want to thank General Milley. I want to thank all the people who were involved and the people that went in to get her. I want to thank you very much. And then we've got Donald Trump's speech. Bad things were happening to her in a certain country. In parentheses, it says America. And we're really under the feeling that we should keep it somewhat private until she's already been freed. She'll be free soon, in parentheses. And I have to tell you, General Milley and his people were unbelievable. They were not playing games. General Milley does not play games. He's a very interesting guy. They got her out. They got her out of a certain situation where she was seriously abused, accosted, and whatever the maximum word is other than death that happened. But we got her out, and she's okay, and she's back with her parents. Her name is Liberty. So that indicates that Madeleine McCann has just been rescued. She was rescued on March 27th, but this information has only come out now, as I understand it. Yeah.
Would you expect anything less from a warrior who's pledged himself to quite literally defend the concept of freedom, liberty, and the pursuit of justice, pursuit of happiness?
Hey, all I know
to do anything less would be violating his oath.
That's right. He's a professional soldier. Very good point. Next, I'd like to draw your attention to Q Post 109. And this is a prayer for battle. This is the kind of prayer you offer when you're going into war. And it reads, Saint Michael, the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, Prince of the heavenly hosts, by the power of God, cast down to hell Satan and all his evil spirits who prowl across the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. And that signs off with Amen, Brother Q. And now, Picker was actually rather prescient. 2357, that's post 2357 from Q, and it reads, Let us reaffirm America's destiny of goodness and free will. Celebrate, patriots. Let us reaffirm America's destiny of goodness and goodwill. And that was a quote from Ronald Reagan. The next article that I'm going to address is where I get into the kind of stuff that makes me really quite ill. Just a moment, my computer's thinking. Okay, this is from the Shad Olson Show. And it's about adrenochrome. If you don't know what adrenochrome is, you're about to learn. Child adrenochrome, globalist cabal's immortality drug of choice. Okay, so previously relegated...
It acts as adrenaline.
Yes, indeed, sir. Previously relegated well beyond the awareness and understanding of the general public, a naturally occurring human endocrine secretion is becoming a focal point of attention of people awakening to the broadening Jeffrey Epstein scandal and the tectonic realignment of human perception lurking beneath the surface of that legal proceeding and its connotations for the reality of the greatest evil in our time, child sex trafficking, ritualized sexual abuse of children and child sacrifice. And that rare substance is called adrenochrome. And aside from having near miraculously scientifically tested regenerative abilities in rejuvenation of human tissue, restoration of nerve responsivity and cognitive function, adrenochrome holds near mythic status as the Calistoga fountain of youth, an immortality substance for the global elite, the unholy grail of the Luciferian pedophile cultists who rule and reign in our midst. Adrenochrome harvest and acquisition is the why of everything else in the emerging and pernicious realm of unspeakable acts of child sex trafficking, abduction, abuse, exploitation, and even sacrifice by the world elite, and it's all coming out. So what is adrenochrome? Adrenochrome is the powerful hormonal precursor for adrenaline secreted in the body in large amounts in moments of intense fear, anger, or perceived life-threatening danger. Its purpose, as determined by scientists, is both to optimize the adrenaline response of muscles and nerves of the body, whilst also protecting bodily tissues and organs from the rigors of adrenaline rush, acting as both buffer and optimizer to accelerate the adrenalized flight or fight mechanism of human fear response in survival situation. Think of it as a fuel additive for the souped-up, funny car launch of human survival instinct when confronted by life-threatening physical danger or terror, and there's nothing like it on Earth. Give me a moment while I go through my document, please. Yeah, keep it short, Pika.
This is basically this is the system that allows mothers to lift cars over their head when the child's in danger. Basically, our bodies are actually much more stronger than they appear. It's very damaging to the body, so there's a natural limiter in place. The adrenaline rush is basically when those limiters are completely removed for a moment.
Indeed, sir. And now we get to the darkest stuff that I will touch in this document. I may self-censor myself in the next document. I can't remember what was in it at the moment. Anyway, adrenochrome extraction from children. Younger is always better. These people are unbelievable. This is off the map. As with every other glandular secretion and endocrine response in the human body, the concentration, potency, and plentifulness of adrenochrome potential declines with age. So we get less naturally occurring adrenochrome as we get older. So, and what's more, repeated overexposure to adult adrenochrome, oxidized adrenaline, leads to nefarious mental and physical side effects, including epileptic seizure, Parkinsonian symptoms, schizophrenia, and delusional psychosis. These are the side effects of adrenochrome harvested from adults. Anyway, practitioners of mass dosing adrenochrome therapy quickly learned that children were the best extraction source for the highest potency adrenochrome, and the juvenile adrenochrome was chemically balanced in ways that reduced the horrific side effects of the adult version. Superior product, the younger, the better. Okay, now we get to the really bad bit. But just how to get children to produce and secrete the most massive concentration of adrenochrome into their system prior to extraction? The answer to that question is a decades-long worldwide nightmare of psychosexual exploitation that is gripping the planet, driven by adrenochrome frenzy among the world elite, always working frantically to avoid the ravages of adrenochrome withdrawal. It's addictive, and without it, these people fall apart, and that's what we're watching at the moment. Just a moment while I pull out one more piece from this document. Okay, the adrenochrome ritual, sexual abuse of children and child sacrifice, the adrenochrome ritual. In a fusion of psycho-spiritual and scientific incantation, the global elite have perfected the use of extreme sexual torture, satanically ritualized blankety blank and blankety blank and blankety blank and blankety blank, specifically designed to create maximum terror in a child's body, to overload their blood with adrenochrome prior to extraction and consumption in the bloody rite of immortality. Survivors of these ordeals have been reported being bound, gagged, raped for hours. Blankety blank, blankety blank, blankety blank, blankety blank. You can read that for yourself. I'm not going into that detail. I'm just not. Okay. Now we have testimony from a guy called Paul Bonacci. I'm going to jump over his bio, but he's got a little bit of history. You can read this for yourself if you wish. But anyway, Paul Bonacci gave accurate descriptions to tunnel systems and diplomatic residences in the Potomac corridor that he would no ability to know or describe without having been there. Bonacci described blankety blank with the elite of both American political parties, including George H.W. Bush, in which he was blankety blank, blankety blank, blankety blank. You can read this for yourself, guys. Anyway, now we get to the good bit. In summary, while portions of the public will likely continue to struggle with the full connotations of a world Luciferian pedophile cult dedicated to the ritualized desecration of childhood innocence for both spiritual and chemical empowerment, the signposts of truth are emerging daily in ways that make logical conclusions more and more difficult to avoid. Then it goes on to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. His role was as a procurer, fixer, and organizer of the North American chapter of this occult blankety blank practice is about to reveal the full truth about the most powerful, most visible, successful, and most wealthy in the upper echelons of the world elite, including Bill and Hillary Clinton, Hugh Aberdeen, Anthony Weiner, Chelsea Clinton, Kevin Spacey, Jim Carrey, and a list of Hollywood and political movers too expansive for publication. They're all in on it. Now, Jake Tapper's recent cryptic tweet response to suggestions of the coming Epstein implosion should be more than enough to spark the curiosity necessary to begin your own journey into the dark and lascivious truth of the world that many of us have known for decades and have been trying to tell the rest of you for nearly as long. And that's all I'm going to pull out of this document, except for the very last line, and that reads, "Take the red pill." Okay, I'm going to roll with my next article.
As sickening as it is, this does solidify the logic of the world. For many people, they'd have trouble with understanding why people would do this. This chemical explains it perfectly.
Yes, this is the drug of choice.
Doesn't make what they did morally right. It just means that the logic of the world is preserved.
Yeah, this isn't a time to disappear up our navels in a philosophical discussion of right or wrong. What I'm talking about here at the moment is the most callous disregard for human life that I can imagine.
Oh, agreed, Dumpster. Just point out that for those that have trouble reconciling this, for the more logically minded, this does fill up in a major piece.
Yeah, it's off the map for me, but I will, for their sake, I will go that extra yard and do the research and even the presentation of exactly what these people did. Anyway, next we've got an article from Fellowship of the Mind.
One more thing.
Make it quick.
Prime mover? Exactly. I had that same thought while in the John a few moments ago.
Share.
They're effectively vampires. How do you think they get the adrenochrome? From the blood itself.
That's a very fair call, Mover. We're dealing with literal vampires. Vampires that age with...
Well, they might not need the life force of the blood, they definitely need a chemical inside it.
And the younger the better, so maybe there is something... There's almost certainly a medical reason behind it, but to go to that extreme to get something so that you can live another few decades, yeah...
That's not true immortality. That's becoming a parasite. True immortality would not require the destruction of other lives in order to be self-propagating.
Yes. Okay, pedophile Jeffrey Epstein co-founded the Clinton Foundation. This was posted on February 2020, and it reads, "This news came out more than 2 years ago, but I only discovered this today. We already know that Bill Clinton had flown on the late convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein's private plane, dubbed the Lolita Express, dozens of times as shown in his flight logs." And then we've got a letter from 2007 written by Epstein's lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, and it reads, okay, Epstein claimed he was part of the original group that conceived the Clinton Global Initiative, CGI, in 2013. CGI was renamed the Bill, Hillary and Chelsea Clinton Foundation. In the words of the 2007 letter, Mr. Epstein was part of the original group that conceived the Clinton Global Initiative, which is described as a project bringing together a community of global leaders to devise and implement innovative solutions to some of the world's most challenging issues. Anyway, the 2007 letter was aimed at boosting Epstein's image to successfully negotiate a plea deal before Epstein could be tried for using underage girls in a sex ring. Epstein spent 13 months in prison and home detention. Just a moment while I manage my files, please. My files. Okay, jumping ahead significantly. What is true is that Jeffrey Epstein had supported the Clinton Foundation financially. This was not made public until 2014. The Clinton Foundation has raised hundreds of millions of dollars, ostensibly for charitable works in places such as Haiti and Africa. But critics have accused the Clintons of using the foundation as a slush fund and have questioned how much of the donations actually went to helping the poor. That just goes to the heart of the matter. It's not one or two people doing this. It's a systemic, organized, social, cultural thing. Anyway, that's all I'm going to pull out of that one. Okay, the next one. I'm hoping it's true, but I cannot vouch for its veracity. And it comes from themillennialbridge.com. And it reads quite simply, Navy SEALs and US Marines rescue 2,100 children from California underground bases. As I said, I can't verify this information, but I have got verification that tunnels under New York were raided, which led to the liberty of children, in specifically Madeleine McCann. Okay, the source of this is Amy Dawson and a Pentagon official. Navy SEALs and US Marines rescued 2,100 children from California underground bases. North Carolina's power outage on October the 9th may have provided cover for the operation. Okay, here is my pure speculation, but quite grounded in a few facts. The author of this document actually puts this together quite nicely, which is why I selected it. So this scenario is the White Hats had PG&E turn off power to North Carolina. They then canvassed the entire area with helicopters equipped with LiDAR technology that is basically like ground-penetrating radar, but it detects metal, hollows, concrete, and especially electricity. With all legitimate electricity turned off, it was easy for them to scan below ground, quadrant by quadrant, to detect the exact locations of the tunnel systems connecting DUMBs, that's deep underground military bases, in California to Utah or wherever else the tunnels still had power, which runs on their own power grid. The underground power network was being masked by the above ground electrical network. After they mapped out the exact locations, the next day there were 5 simultaneous explosions caught on satellite in the mountains and in the wastelands. I can also back that up with my own information that there was actual tectonic signatures of nuclear weapons being used. Anyway, the theory that the author of this document is working with is the tunnel systems were collapsed and they cut off the bases from one another in key strategic locations. The power being cut to 2 million homes was absolutely necessary to pinpoint the still active electrical pathways in the tunnel systems. This is war, ladies and gentlemen, and the deep state just got served a hearty defeat. Look at the facts of what has occurred recently. The military has been training for subterranean battle. Troops pulled out of Syria, and the Turks are given the go-ahead to wipe out the last vestiges of the deep state in Syria amongst the Kurds. The Trichoms are booted out of Long Beach Port, our second largest and most strategic shipping port. Deep state goons being arrested and outed everywhere, from federal judges to politicians and corporate sociopaths. And the final section of this document reads, "This is war. Make no mistake, it is a war between the non-corrupted military and elements of the NSA and the clowns, and deep state communists as well. It is full-on war, but the mainstream media propaganda machine will not report it. So it is a secret war being fought with technology, law, subterfuge, propaganda, blackmail, murder, and yes, bullets, bombs, and banks. I'm loving it." And that's all I'm going to pull out of this article, guys. Okay, the next article deals with exactly the same thing from a different angle. And it starts with a tweet by a conservative native boy mum. 2,100 children rescued, 10th of the 14th, 2019. SEALs and Marines in underground tunnels and bunkers in California. Strategic power outages helped. Okay, where are we? Holmseth, an award-winning investigative journalist, said in a Facebook Live earlier this afternoon that he's verifying the report. It did happen. It did occur. The information that I'm giving you came from my source at the Pentagon, he said. My source at the Pentagon is the leader of that operation. He led the operation. He was in the tunnels. He saw everything, Holmseth said. Holmseth said he's not going to go through the details of what it looked like, but he described that the mission was hell on earth. One comment made by the commander was something to do with the movie It, Holmseth said. I think it had to do with clowns, and you know we have to remember that what they're doing is they're blankety blank and blankety blanking these children, and they're raising their adrenochrome for the drug, to use as a drug. In parentheses, it says It is a 2017 movie about a shape-shifting monster which disguises itself as a clown and preys on children. I really just came on to confirm that Holmseth said, I know that when reports come out, there's sometimes speculation whether or not true. It is true, and I can also tell you that there's more missions that are going to take place, he said. There's more coming. Holmseth said there were diversions in California. Diversions, while I believe they were locating, that how they were locating and detecting where the electricity was underneath the ground, he said. Holmseth said he doesn't have any more to report. In the future, when I learn more, I am authorized to bring it to you, I will do that, Holmseth said. Holmseth urged everybody to keep up the fight. He closed by saying that 2,100 children were saved by the Pentagon task force. God bless everybody, Holmseth concluded. And then there are links here within this document. And that's all I want to pull out of that one. So that's verification. That's as close to verification as I can get for 2,100 children being rescued from Cali. And all the effort that we've put in as a group would be worth it for one child. But unfortunately, there are more than one. Next, I'm going to roll with a tweet. Okay, this comes from Snow White at SnowWhite71AM. 90 suspects identified, 4 convicted today by a Belgian court. Hashtag Operation Gargamel. Police around the world have taken down a global child abuse ring with links to 40-plus countries via a Belgian investigation and Europol. 110 victims, more arrests and rescues coming. That speaks for itself. I don't need to pop that one open. That's good news. That means other people around the world have the same moral mindset as us.
If you want fundamentally different ways of seeing the world, wait for first contact with other alien species. People tend to forget that every single sapient being that's confirmed on this planet is Homo sapien. So of course we're going to have the same basic underlying ways of thinking, regardless of our differences.
Okay, just a moment please, Pika. This is the final article that I've got to read, and it's from an anonymous, and it was taken off 4chan, I believe, but I cannot verify the actual source of this document, but it is an excellent document. You can read this for yourself, actually. You can read this for yourself if you wish later, but I will read it now. So this comes from an anon. I am only going to type this once. After the last 2 breads, a revelation has come to me. I am in tears right now and can barely see what I am typing. The Navy hospital ships, the deep underground military bases being raided and destroyed, the weird talk from POTUS and Cuomo and Pence, and many who are in the know about how things will change when this is over. We may no longer shake hands. Weird to me for a couple of days, but then it hit me so blanking hard, I almost threw up. The 2.2 million are the child victims. So we're talking about 2.2 million child victims, some who may now be adults if still alive. And I direct your attention back to Madeleine McCann. So 2.2 million child victims, some who may now be adults if still alive. They are coming home. They are coming here to the United States. The change in job status, the giving of trillions of dollars, is to prepare for a mass recovery of these poor victims. It may sound crazy, but who is to take care of them? I believe it will be us, the good citizens of the United States, the ones who love their children, the ones who believe in God, who believe in treating others with respect and dignity and with love. What else or what other way could this be done? We will find out who they are, and we as a country will be entrusted with their care and their futures, because we are good and kind and are divine beings. It seems to make sense, though horrific at the same time. That's what I'm going to end this section, this slot in the show with. That's good news. And at some future date, we will address the topic of SRA in detail, but that's more than enough to bring to your plate. Operations are ongoing. Children have been rescued already. So pray. That's all you can do at this moment is pray. There are better men than me doing harder jobs than this, that's for sure. Water Picker, do you want to make a quick comment before we roll with a little bit of music, maybe?
If the rumors of about breeding people for these sacrifices is true, it happened on U.S. soil, by definition, due to the natural citizen clause in the United States Constitution, the U.S. military is obligated to free them since they're U.S. citizens. By definition.
Good point. And there's no way that I am going into the nitty-gritty of what actually happened to these children, because I just can't handle it. I'll leave that to someone else for a different day. Are we ready to make some music, Mr. Rhythmbot? Something upbeat and happy. And
Yeah.
Puppy, if you're...
Well, I've got a.
I'm gonna duck out.
Cheers, matey.
Sorry, mate. I've got a little dedication. Sorry, a little dedication
I'm ready.
to Madeline and the children.
Oh, hell yeah. Good morning, Miss Goldstar Mum. How are you?
Groggy. How are you?
Pretty
And the
good.
river opens for the righteous. The river opens for the righteous. The river opens for the righteous someday. I was walking with my brother. He said, brother, tell me what's on your mind. I said, what I see with my eyes ain't what I feel in my soul. And we can't turn our backs this time. 'Cause I am a patriot and I love my country. Because my country is all that I know. I wanna be with my family, people who understand me. 'Cause I got nowhere else to go. And the river opens for the righteous. The river opens for the righteous. The river opens for the righteous someday. I was walking with my sister. She looked so fine. I said, tell me what's on your mind. She said, I wanna run like a lion, released from the cages, released from the rages, burning in my heart tonight. 'Cause I am a patriot and I love my country. Because my country is all that I know. I wanna be with my family, with people who understand me. 'Cause I got nowhere else to go. And I ain't no communist, but I ain't no imperialist. And I ain't no socialist, but I ain't no capitalist. And I ain't no Democrat, but I ain't no Republican. I only know one party, that is freedom. 'Cause I am a patriot and I love my country. Because my country is all that I know. I wanna be with my family, people who understand me. 'Cause I got nowhere else to go. And the river opens for the righteous. The river opens for the righteous. The river opens for the righteous someday.
Awesome choices. Thank you very much, Oz. And please remind me, I've got one more article that I wanted to read this evening, but I'd like to save that for towards the end. It's about the fight that's going on at the moment. Yeah. Are you ready to roll, puppy?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Excellent. I look forward to hearing this.
All right. Let's start with reading a day at a time. Reflection for today. Today is April 3rd. In almost every instance, the return slipper says, I stopped going to meetings, or I got fed up with the same old stories and the same ways, or my outside commitments were such that I had to cut down on things, or I felt I'd received the optimum benefits from the meeting, so I sought further help from more meeting activities. In short, they simply stopped going to meetings. A saying I've heard at Addiction Anonymous, it's the nail on the head. Them that stop going to meetings are not present at meetings to hear about what happens that stops going on to meetings. The question for today is, am I going to enough meetings for me? So today I pray, God, keep me on the path of the GA program or addiction program. May I never be too tired, too busy, too complacent, too bored to go to meetings. Almost always those complaints are reversed at a meeting if I will just get myself there. My weariness dissipates in serenity. My busyness is reduced to its rightful proportion. My complacency gives way to vigilance again. And how can I be how can I be bored in a place where there is so much fellowship and joy? Today I will remember, attend the meetings. Alright, that was that. I've got a couple of, I've had 100% and I was working on something to present to you, so that will have to come in on a later date. So I have some articles pulled up. Here's one from AP, Associated Press. Fake news or truth? Russia cracks down on virus postings. Moscow. 2 weeks ago, an opposition-leaning radio station in Russia interviewed political analyst Valery Zolovay, who alleged the government was lying when it said no one had died in the country from the coronavirus. Zolovay told radio station Echo Moskvy at least 1,600 people might have died since mid-January. Russia's media and internet watchdog Roskomnadzor quickly pressured the station to delete the interview from its website. The demand was part of a widespread government campaign against what authorities called fake news about the pandemic. On Tuesday, Russian lawmakers began putting some teeth behind the campaign, approving fines of up to $25,000 and prison terms of up to 5 years for anyone who spreads what is deemed to be false information. Media outlets will be fined up to $127,000 if they disseminate disinformation about the outbreak. Lawmakers rushed the bill through all three, spoke about the need to counter provocations, stupid gossip, and malicious lies about the outbreak. The crusade began about a month ago when Russia's caseload was still in the single digits. The Kremlin's stance of everything is under prompted speculation that authorities might hide or underreporting the scale of the outbreak in line with Soviet-era traditions covering up embarrassing truths. Well, that's in Russia. So it's the lies are going. The next article is from, let me see, that's from Fox News. The DOJ's FISA report surveillance rules were strictly observed. New findings by the Justice Department, the FBI violated stood in stark contrast to the years of assurance from the top Democrats and commentators that the Bureau scrupulously handled Intelligence Service Act FISA and prompted Republican lawmakers to caution the seeming liberties of Americans without proper justification. The DOJ watchdog identified critical every FBI FIRE application that it audited as part of the fallout from the Bureau's heavily flawed investigation into Trump advisor Page, who was revealed in part because of a largely discredited dossier funded by HRC, Hillary Clinton. by the Hillary Clinton campaign, Democratic National Committee. An FBI lawyer in that case even falsified a CIA email submitted to the FISA court in order to make Page's communications with Russians appear nefarious to DOJ Inspector General. DOJ Inspector found. And the DOJ has concluded Page was legal, but the DOJ's new assessment indicated that FISA at the Bureau and extended beyond the Page probe. In 4 of the 29 cases, the DOJ Inspector General, the FBI did not have any so-called files. All referring to mandatory documents demonstrating that key factual assertions, in its surveillance warrant application. In 3 of those applications, the FBI could that which documentation ever existed. What about that? The other 25 applications contain an average of 20 assertions not supported by these materials. One application contained 65 unsupported claims. Wow. The review encompassed the work of 8 fields over the past 5 years. As a result of our audit work to date, and as described below, have executed procedures in compliance with FBI policy. The DOJ IG wrote in a memo today to FBI Director Christopher Wray. This was posted March 31st. Okay, next one. Next one comes from Just the News and was posted, let me see, March 31st. And I think this is similar to what I just read. It says the FBI Inspector General Michael Hurwitz says FBI is doing a poor job with procedures designed to protect Americans' civil surveillance. The Justice Department's chief watchdog issued pursuing sensitive.
Puppy, you're cutting in and out, man.
Yeah.
You're bad comms, Puppy Max.
Or what? Okay. I'll be right back.
Okie dokes. I'll just take a moment to address YouTube. It looks like Madeleine McCann was rescued from the tunnels beneath New York City. Her code name was Liberty. And as soon as Puppy Max is finished with his slot, I'll go through that again for you. How are you now, Pop?
Alright. Back. Let me, how is it now? How's the...
Yes, you're coming through loud and clear. And yes, it's not 100% yet, but we're looking at Madeleine McCann still being alive. God knows in what state. But she still draws breath, that much I'm sure of. I'll get to that in just a moment.
Alright. Okay. The DOJ Inspector General Michael Director Chris Wray in a management alert memo that a review of more than 2 dozen intelligence found against agents were not complying with the service procedures designed to protect American civil liberties during such probes. Among the probes cited was a failure by agents to substantiate allegations submitted to courts, similar to the missteps the FBI made in failing to ensure allegations in the Steele dossier back in 2016 were verified before securing a FISA warrant targeting the Trump campaign and former advisor. As a result of our audit work to date and as described below, we confidence that the FBI has executed procedures in compliance with FBI policy. Mr. Horowitz wrote. Well, so this is exactly the same article I just read. Let me go to the last one. This is from the Evening Standard. It was posted on one day ago. Coronavirus testing kits heading to be September 17. Let me see. Okay. Testing kits were headed. The government has said that it aims to boost the rate of tests to 25,000 a day by the end of April at the latest, and has asked private companies to help test production. There's one production for Luxembourg-based manufacturer Eurofins told UK labs on Monday that deliveries would be delayed as parts had been contaminated with coronavirus, the Telegraph. This shouldn't significantly affect case. Yeah, right. Government sources told the paper. The news comes after days of confusion of what the UK is doing. Cabinet Minister Michael Gove said on Sunday met its targets of this stage of the coronavirus response with 10,000 tests done that day. But Public Health England later released figures showing that just over 8,000 tests were being done the previous 20. NHS had capacity for more than 1,000. All right. Well, that's my contribution for today. So, can someone take over, please?
Thank you so much, Poppy. That's awesome. Our
Welcome.
European news correspondent. Hey, do you want to tell the folks at home what you've got lined up from David Wilcock?
Oh, yeah. Well, as you know, someone made
Comms, mate, you got out there, buddy.
What?
We can hear you now. Go for it.
All right. David Wilcock's DivineCosmos.com is posting live videos of anywhere between 2.5, more than 5 hours, almost on a daily basis. He has 4 thus far. The 5th is coming, and the second one I saw was very interesting. He talked about many things, among which was the Illuminati. And I was going to dedicate one slot to the Illuminati, and the next he's going from the Illuminati, the Klan, and that was going to be in my next slot because I had to get written permission from David Wilcock, and I did. So I am working on that.
I look forward to hearing that. Do you reckon you'll have that finished off by the weekend? Can we say that the Monday show will have contributions from David Wilcock?
Well, I hope to have one part, and then another part on Monday, because I have more than 2 or screenshots of the slides, and I have to put the name of Divine Cosmos on every slide so that, it's, I comply with what's the law name? God. Well, I comply with law. And, so, that's a bit of work. And I hope to have some done by Monday, and then maybe by Wednesday, and maybe by next Friday.
Awesome.
No promises, but I'll work on the one for Friday.
I look forward to that, Puppy Max. But for the moment,
Yeah, it's not
go for it.
it's not a whole lot, and the thing is, copying those. I was making of all the screens of all the slides.
I can certainly work with you there. We can do full screen. As long as you drop the slides into the Discord, I'll be able to show them full screen. We can do that, certainly.
Yeah. Yeah, I was making screenshots of it. And then I received them on my laptop. When I was working, guess what the slide number 17 says? The plan to destroy. It's the slide number 17, which I had no. I didn't do it on purpose, but it turned out to be number 7. Cue the plan. So yeah, it will be. It's only 17, and we will go through it in the meeting beforehand.
Excellent. Sure.
But I have to start working right now, and then tomorrow morning. All right, that's it.
Excellent, thank you. That was slot 3 from Puppy Max, and he will be returning on Monday and Wednesday and Friday, hopefully.
Yep.
Okay, I'm looking at a snippet of text. I can't actually give you the source of it because I've forgotten, but it's from March 27th, and a person called Pamela Lawyer Gilly points out that Madeleine McCann is Liberty. The young woman who was rescued by General Milley is the Statue of Liberty. Liberty was rescued. Read again closely. Then we have Donald Trump saying, "We were able to get a young woman released from a certain area who was being horribly accosted, horribly treated. And we spoke to General Milley. General Milley took care of it. We went in and got her out, and we will report further on that one. But if that was rough stuff, I want to thank General Milley. I want to thank all the people that were involved and the people that went in to get her. I want to thank you very much." Then there's a section of a speech from POTUS. "Bad things were happening to her in a certain country, in parentheses America, and we're really under the feeling that we should keep it somewhat private until she's already been freed. In parentheses, read, she'll be free soon." And I have to tell you, General Milley and his people were unbelievable. They were not playing games. General Milley does not play games. He's a very interesting guy. They got her out. They got her out of a certain situation where she was seriously abused, accosted, and whatever the maximum word is other than death. That happened. But we got her out, and she's okay, and she's back with her parents. Her name is Liberty. And I'm pretty sure that's Madeleine McCann right there. That's little Maddie. She's alive. We don't know what state, psychologically or physically. But remember, we're not talking about a handful of children or one child. But if you put a name and a face to a victim, it changes the whole dynamic. It makes it personal, to put it that way. Anyway, folks, we've got Sativa Breeder and Gold Star Mom.
I have one more thing.
Go for it, puppy.
I have one more thing I forgot. Was the post. I just It says, oh my God, Fauci, the deep state puppet, just admitted. And it was a tweet from Tammy Towers Perry, MD. Vaccine injury. Wow, my mind is blown. Listen to what he finally just admitted. For years we have complained about vaccines and the potential they make some diseases worse. I can't believe my eyes. Truth matters. And I'm going to post that right now in chat because I don't know if you can play it. It's in my room. You can hear Fauci say that the virus, the vaccines can cause more harm than they are supposed to do.
If you can drop that video, I'm more than happy to play it.
It's alright, hold on. I will drop it in general text right now. Here it is.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hot mic this.
Hi, Patriots. It's Dr. Tammy. So, I think most of you know that I am not a fan of this gentleman, Dr. Fauci. But I am absolutely dumbfounded at what he just admitted. What he just admitted is unbelievable. And it's what so many of us have been shouting about for years. And it has to do with vaccines. It has to do with vaccine safety. It has to do with some vaccines literally make the disease they're designed to prevent worse. Get it? Some vaccines make the disease that you're trying to prevent even worse. Think about that. We've been saying it. My colleagues have been saying it. People have been complaining about it. But listen to this. He just admitted it.
Make sure the American public understand. It's not only safety when you inject somebody and they get maybe an idiosyncratic reaction, they get a little allergic reaction, they get pain. There's safety associated. Does the vaccine make you worse? And there are diseases in which you vaccinate someone, they get infected with what you're trying to protect them with, and you actually enhance the infection. You can get a good feel for that in animal models. So that's going to be interspersed at the same time that we're testing. We're going to try and make sure we don't have enhancement. So the worst possible thing you could do is vaccinate somebody to prevent infection and actually make them worse.
Exactly.
Next, and finally, with regard, I'll get you to your question. Finally, with regard.
Did you get that? It's the worst possible thing you can do. And it has happened. The worst possible thing they can do. Hi, Patriots.
Okay, guys, you may or may not have been able to hear that, but that's Fauci admitting the cure is worse than the disease, to be clear. And, Goldstar, if you're still under the covers and still in bed, you can still contribute. I was having a discussion amongst several other Anons. I can't exactly remember who or when or where, but it was recently. And there would have been a half dozen of us. And we were trying to figure out who and why would be the best person to discuss the nitty-gritty of SRA. Are you understanding what I'm saying at the moment, Goldstar?
SRA. What's SRA?
Satanic ritual abuse, the nasty stuff, the really, really nasty stuff.
Okay, so
Why me?
Oh, I was just wondering what your take on it was. We need someone to go through the nitty-gritty of it. And for obvious reasons, it needs to be a woman. Otherwise, I do it myself.
I don't know how much to go over or share, but it's real. And it's prolific. What they're doing to people are so horrible.
I've just ruined your morning, haven't I? Sorry, Goldstar.
No, it's all right. It's all good. You'll have to prepare me a little further in advance next time for that question.
Oh, no, I was just spitballing the idea. I wasn't actually asking you, and I certainly wasn't expecting you to do it on the spot. But we've got to at some point address these issues. That's okay, Mum. You can go back to bed. Curl up. It's okay. How is Guillermo?
Oh, Guillermo's great. Oh, I'm sitting up in bed. I just don't want to get up yet.
Sativa, would you like to tell us a little bit about why there was a hunting party that included Maxwell, the Podesta brothers, and others? Why did they target Madeleine McCann? I already know the answer to this because you've told me, but if you could go over it again for the folks playing at home, that'd be fantastic, mate.
Good morning, Discord. Good morning, YouTube.
Top of the morning to you.
Yeah, from what we could fathom, this is going back from a number of digs over the years. Madeleine McCann was very special. She wasn't taken per se for sex abuse or stuff like that, as far as we know. She's got a very rare phenotype of blood, and she's very sought after amongst these monsters. Her blood is a bit of a cure-all if the information we came across was correct. A bit like the ultimate Rh negative blood, the Christ line, that kind of setup. And she was used, if I understood it correctly, as like a super filter. She could filter people's blood, she could give them her blood, and just a pint of her blood would completely fix them if they got blood conditions and stuff like that. So I would imagine she's not on her own in that category. I should imagine there's going to be a percentage of the children that were taken that were of this special genotype. I'm sure we'll hear more about it as and when we get confirmation that Madeleine has actually been found and it is actually her. We'll get confirmation, I'm sure, of the true setup of things, but it's not just about abusing the kids. Certain members of the crowd of kids worldwide are very special with this special kind of blood type that, as I said, acts as the world's best filter, and they're very sought after. I would imagine the parents were taking it over to the Algarve on a regular basis for these monsters to use her in that way.
Whoa, hang up a moment there, buddy. Are you telling me that her parents farmed her out?
My opinion, and you have to bear this in mind, this is my opinion. I think they're as guilty as a puppy by a pile of poo.
Right. God, that's even more disturbing than I can imagine. No, I can imagine.
Think about this, Dumpster. Think about this. There's a lawsuit going on. I can't remember the guy's name now, but there's an old English guy brought a lawsuit against the McCanns last year or the year before, and he's just an ordinary pensioner with very few funds, and he's a good digger, and he's got the info, and he reckons he's got enough to go to court and get a prosecution. So they accept the court case and they draw up the defence and whatever. And on the day that the court case opened, the initial readings, when the McCanns were represented, they weren't represented by common and garden solicitors or barristers. They were represented by royal household barristers, the top royal barristers connected to the royal family that the Queen has used many times before. So the royal household, the true pinnacle of the ninth circle, has jumped in and has defended with their own cash and their own servants, e.g. the barristers that normally serve the castle and the queen and the royalty in general. They're representing these monsters. There's no way this old guy can go up against that kind of barrister firepower. It would bankrupt him 10 times over. So somebody high up is looking after these monsters, and right now the tangible link we've got is into the ninth circle, because the representation in the royal household with the links with Charles and Andrew into Jimmy Savile and back into the ninth circle are quite substantial. And via that, if you go via the Jimmy Savile and Charles links, especially Savile, it feeds right back to Israel. Savile was a dyed-in-the-wool Talmudic Zionist, and he big support of certain members of the society and certain associations and politicians in Israel. If you'd like to go back and take a look at that as a separate dig sometime, you'll be blown away by the amount of times he did keynote speeches in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem and various other places. This goes deeper than we think, kids.
You've got me thinking here. Sorry, Carmen, did you want to say something? Carmen, hang on. Okay, I'll go ahead. You've got me thinking, Sativa. First of all, if she's that much in bed with the filth, was she perhaps bred for that specific purpose? Because when she was abducted, she was left alone, and there was, I believe, 3 children in the villa, but they only took one. Is there a possibility that children like this are actually bred for this role?
Yeah, that's open to debate. I remember doing a few years ago with a number of anons from Patriot News and various other places on the baby farms, the Vatican Jesuit baby farms. And we came across substantial reference to actual farms that were turning out babies like you would chickens. What they were turning those babies out for, we can only guess at. We can only think about our worst nightmares. The Vatican was sort of selling it as a refuge for babies abandoned by their parents and abandoned in third world countries, when in fact I think the whole ethos behind it is for something far more corrupt, far more insidious. When we come to, and we will, some deeper digs on what they've been doing with the children, obviously we need proof, and we need some open in your face evidence to wake everybody up that there's something worth digging on, because the greater public doesn't realise this. And when we do, it really is going to be something that could hospitalise a lot of people with shock and horror, because they've been breeding them Matrix style. If our suspicions and the roads and rabbit holes we dive down were anything to go by, they've been breeding them like Matrix style for years and years and decades and decades.
Oh, Lord. Okay. It's becoming clearer and clearer to me that we need to address the topic of SRA in detail and at length. I'm not the man to do it, but I hope someone out there puts their hand up for that thankless task. And what that reminds me is that every kid in your circle, they need an extra pair of eyes on them all the time. You got to watch them.
I look at that mom and I remember when it happened, and I thought, she doesn't look very upset. She doesn't look like she's losing any sleep. She has those dark circles under her eyes. If my child was missing, I would not look that pretty on every given day.
If you look at what went down, we did with some detail when we dived down this particular rabbit hole. If you take a look and you see them as vampires, and these people, these parents, these other folk are familiars.
So we're talking about the filth at the top, And then they have lapdogs and all sorts of category for us that are just chattels and commodities. This is really quite disturbing. What do you reckon? Maybe a little bit of music, or do we continue this discussion?
I think it's a discussion that needs some groundwork first, Dumpster, and I'm more than happy to participate in anything we can prove and we can throw up as actual tangible evidence. I'm more than happy to participate, and I'm certainly not shy, although I'm a guy and normally it's best for a lady to do it. If when we come to do the presentation, you have nobody to do it, then I'll gladly do it.
If it comes down to it, you and I, we will do it together. How's that?
That sounds like a deal, brother.
Oh, Lord, I have to prepare myself then, which means I have to do research, which means I have to expose myself to the filth and the horror, get up to my knees in it, and then figure out a way to communicate that to other people. I am not looking forward to this at all.
Yeah, it's very important as well. I mean, we normally like to see source, and I'm not on about the Daily Star or the Sun from the UK. With subjects of this gravitas, we need some proper source. We need some really defined facts, because if we go off down a rabbit hole here and we mislead people, even if it's unintentionally, it's unforgivable. This subject has been raging in the minds of most households for 2 decades, and it's got to be put to bed properly. It has to be done properly, so not something to be rushed. We need to talk. I'll jump in here, and you can jump into Sativa's house, and we can share ideas and concepts. We can run it around the room, but we do need to make sure that it's done properly.
And with carefully, and with tact, and with understanding that the people listening to it are either they might possibly be victims themselves, or they might have no understanding of the situation. In either situation, we have to be extremely careful about how we approach this subject. Very careful. You're right, it needs to be done, and it needs to be done thoroughly and properly. This is the beginnings of a good plan, Sativa.
Hey, YouTube, General Lane, Mikey B, it's good to see you, Patriots. Thanks for the support.
Is Jenna Elaine says, just like John Benet Ramsey, is that the little 6-year-old girl that the mum was pushing into child beauty pageants?
Yep.
Oh Lord. Anyway, yeah, you put a face and a name to the victims, and it stops being a matter of statistics and so forth. Yeah. Anyway, I think we need some music.
Okay, let's dance. Let's shake this out of our heads for a little while and then come back to it.
Dance, you freaks.
Shake that funky stuff.
Okie dokes, folks. What are we up to? Come on, guys.
I don't know. I just want to pet the kitty.
Little Guillermo. Cute cat, hey.
Guillermo, Sarah, and Virgil.
Beautiful.
Well, there's some notables and little bits and pieces there if you want in your DMs. Dumpster, there's about 7 of them or something like that, if you're ready.
Yeah. I'll go roll with that now, actually. Just a minute, guys.
And there's that deliciously wonderful letter from Donald Trump to Schumer. A lot of people have probably heard it or read it, but it's well worth reading. You'll have a lot of fun reading that one.
I've actually read it, but can't remember what's in it. And I know that Oz has some cracking stuff lined up. So just a moment while I go through my files, please.
May I say something about the Schumer thing?
Go for it.
Reading Schumer's letter first and then reading President Trump's letter, Schumer makes a complete idiot out of himself. Obviously, he's not paying attention to what's really going on. So if you get a chance to read Schumer's letter to yourself, but it was great. I love it.
I cannot actually find Schumer's letter. Was that provided to me, or have I missed it?
I did, but now I'm looking in the direct messages. I can't see it, so maybe leave it till last, and I'll go and get it again.
Gotcha, that'd be perfect. Thank you, Oz. Johnny on the spot with the ammunition. Thank you.
Actually, no, I think I gave you the tweet, not the letter. So give me a few moments. So, yeah, you've got plenty of other stuff there. Thanks, Gold Star. I'll go and get...
Yeah. Okay, first up, we've got Star Political. And it reads, 3M, which is a manufacturing company, selling masks to other countries that outbid the US, Trump responds. And this is from your yesterday. I'll just zip through this article quickly. US mask manufacturer 3M has been accused of shipping critical protective equipment to foreign countries who outbid US buyers by the head of Florida's Division of Emergency Management. For the last several weeks, we have had a boiler room chasing down 3M authorized distributors and brokers representing that they sell the N95 masks, only to get warehouses that are completely empty. Moskowitz said, "We are being told that our shipments are on cargo planes and flights that don't even appear. We are chasing ghosts. I just decided to turn up the heat and tell people what is actually happening in the N95 mask space." According to Fox News, Moskowitz claimed to have reached out to many 3M authorized distributors in the United States to confirm his suspicions, and said he was shocked to find American companies quietly partnering with foreign buyers at a time of national crisis. And then we have a Trump tweet that I will end the end of this article with. Following the report, President Trump had this to say via Twitter: "We hit 3M hard today after seeing what they were doing with their masks. Act all the way. Big surprise to many in government as to what they were doing. We'll have a big price to pay." And I think that's another example of POTUS talking. Anyway, so we've got 3M selling critical American medical supplies to people in other countries. I believe that's called racketeering and profiteering. And I actually believe that's a crime while the United States is at war. And don't forget, the United States is still at war following the war on terror and the 9/11 incident. Anyway, I'm going to zip through and dig up the next article. Okay, now this I had to read a couple of times for the simple reason that this is unbelievable. This is from, this is from an anon from Today. And it reads, "You have to be fucking kidding me. Baker," his post is above, is notable. 3M, the company we just discussed, 3M, has a patent for preparing adrenochrome. So you know what adrenochrome is? I just explained it all. It was patented. Just a moment while I dig up the next document, please. Right, what I'm looking at is the process for preparing adrenochrome. And there is only the abstract available at the moment, but it reads, "A process is described for preparing adrenochrome comprising oxidizing adrenaline or a salt thereof with a persulfate in an aqueous medium at a pH in the range of 4 to 8 in the presence of one or more water-soluble salts of bismuth." What we're talking about here is synthetic adrenochrome. And apparently synthetic adrenochrome has all sorts of absolutely horrendous side effects, which is why we're seeing people like Hillary Clinton and Pelosi begin to crumble into dust, like vampires, like the vampires that they are. Next, we have another post from one of the anons, and it reads 3M. Turn the M clockwise and it becomes a 3. 33 degrees, as in Masonic. The same thing with Animal Planet. Turn the M sideways, it becomes a 3 and lines up with the 1 to make 13 Illuminati families. And I can't verify the veracity of that, but it's certainly an interesting find by the Anons. This kind of symbolism all the time. It wouldn't surprise me if that was the significance of 3M or Animal Planet, the two companies involved there. Okay, you should all be able to see on your screen a screen that says Animal Planet, and I'll move on to the Donald J. Trump tweet. Okay, now that we know all about 3M and what they do and what they're involved with, Donald J. Trump had this to say. "We hit 3M hard today after seeing what they were doing with their masks. P-Act all the way." I believe that's Patriot Act, but I'm not 100% sure on that. "Big surprise to many in government as to what they were doing. We'll have a big price to pay." So that's one hell of a tweet from Donald J. Trump. We know what he's saying there. Big surprise to many in government as to what they were doing. We'll have a big price to pay.
It's the Production Act, dumpster. Production
Act. Nice catch. Thank you, Gold Star.
You're welcome.
Okay, now we've got a letter from the White House, April the 2nd, 2020. To Mr. Senator Charles E. Schumer, blah, blah, blah. Dear Chucky, thank you for your Democratic public relations letter and incorrect sound bites which are wrong in every way. As you are aware, Vice President Pence is in charge of the task force. By almost all accounts, he has done a spectacular job. The Defense Production Act has been consistently used by me and my team for the purchase of billions of dollars worth of equipment, medical supplies, ventilators, and other related items. It has been powerful leverage, so powerful that companies generally do whatever we are asking, even without a formal notice. excuse me. They know something is coming, and that's all they need to know. I'll get to the decode on this letter in just a moment. 3.3 in POTUS's letter to Chucky Schumer. A senior military officer is in charge of purchasing, distributing, etc. His name is Rear Admiral John Polowich. He is working 24 hours a day and is highly respected by everyone. If you remember, my team gave you this information, but for public relations purposes, you chose to ignore it. We have given New York many things, including hospitals, medical centers, medical supplies, record numbers of ventilators, and more. You should have had your New York much better prepared than you did, and as Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx said yesterday, New York was very late in its fight against the virus. As you are aware, the federal government is merely a backup for state governments. Unfortunately, your state needed far more of a backup than most others. And POTUS continues with, if you spent less time on your ridiculous impeachment hoax, which went haplessly on forever and ended up going nowhere except increasing my poll numbers, and instead focused on helping the people of New York, then New York would not be so completely unprepared to the invisible enemy. No wonder AOC and others are thinking about running against you in the primary. If they did, they would likely win. There's a tail end to this article that I need to bring up. Just a moment. Okay, this is the tail end of DJT's letter to Schumer. Fortunately, we have been working with your state and city governments, Governor Andrew Cuomo and Mayor Bill de Blasio, to get the job done. You have been missing in action, except when it comes to the press. While you have stated that you don't like Andrew Cuomo, you ought to start working alongside him for the good of all New Yorkers. I've known you for many years, but I never knew how bad a senator you are for the state of New York until I became president. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call, or in the alternative, call Rear Admiral Polowich. So this is a carefully worded, swift kick up the rear end of Chuck Schumer by Trump, who accuses him of lying, profiteering, and incompetence on 3 different separate occasions. Anyway, now out of the first section of the letter, there is an interesting phrase that POTUS uses, and that is, they know something's coming, and that's all they need to know. And it's my opinion that that is a phrase that is being used to describe the current state of readiness of pretty much the entire planet. So he's talking about a global lockdown. They know something's coming, obviously. We all do. We can feel it. We know what's coming down the pipe. Something is of some sort. And that's all they need to know. So basically, ignorance is bliss, is how I interpret this line. Does anyone else have an alternative opinion to this document?
No, but I think it'll go down in history as one of the funniest letters written by any president.
So polite and so unbelievably nasty at the same time. It was actually a beautiful piece of penmanship, really.
I just know when that one part about the Rear Admiral being, he knew that admiral was in charge. When that section was read out by Jer Bear on the other channel the other day, I was like, burn! What a burn! It was great.
Awesome. And
Carmen and I are both having really bad comms problems. Carmen's just left to reboot, and every time I go out of Discord and into a search engine, my VPN drops out. So I don't know what's going on, but it's like someone's trying to stop us. But we will Never surrender.
Okay, which means I keep rolling, I guess, and I hope you girls can sort out the technical issues. I've got a little bit of ammo up my sleeve, and then I'm sure Sativa Breeder and Gold Star Mum can cover for a little while. And in a worst case scenario, I'll just play some music and we can call it quits for the show for tonight. Or we can get our tech trouble sorted and keep on trooping. Hey Carmen, how'd you go?
She's just gone to reboot, but I'm not sure if there are any more notables in there or not.
There are a couple that I'd like to get to. Trump vindicated. Over 6,000 doctors rate hydroxychloroquine most effective therapy for coronavirus. So I'm going to pull a few pieces out of this article for sure. Okie dokes. An anti-malarial drug named hydroxychloroquine, which has been touted for weeks by medical professionals and President Trump for being a possible treatment against the coronavirus for weeks, was recently rated the most effective therapy for fighting the virus. Thousands of doctors who are treating patients with the drug claim it helps, and the number of patients being saved by the drug is rising every day. And then we've got the Washington Post that reports an international poll of more than 6,000 doctors released Thursday found that the anti-malarial drug hydroxychloroquine was the most highly rated treatment for the novel coronavirus. That's all I want to pull out of that one. Okay, the last bits and pieces that I'm going to draw from Oz's collection is another anonymous file from the Chans. I love this information. This is so raw. And Google is to publicly track people's movements over the course of the coronavirus pandemic. Coronavirus. Google reveals travel habits during the pandemic 3 hours ago. So this is fresh. The tech firm will publish details of the different types of places people are going to on a country-by-country basis in the UK, as well as similar data for 130 other countries. The plan is to issue regular updates with the figures referring back to activity from 2 or 3 days prior. The company has promised that the individual's privacy will be observed. The readings are based on location data via the Google Map apps or one of the firm's... sorry, I've got to pop up. Anyway, the firm typically uses this to reveal when specific museums, shops and other places are busiest to help motorists avoid traffic. And that was from Oz. Thank you, Oz.
No worries. There's a message there from Gold.
Where am I looking? Remember, guys, I can't actually see the board at the moment. Goldstar, would you like to give me that information, that question personally?
I'm sorry, I didn't know you couldn't see the board. I was just commenting, I'd love to hear Sativa Breeder's take on Bill Gates and all of this stuff when you get done with your notables.
We are done. That's why I'm addressing you. Sativa, are you there? And does that sound like a fruitful line of inquiry, sir?
Hey, you guys. Yeah, Bill Gates. Wow. What a subject that guy is. The story that will come out about Bill Gates when our investigation and our mission is over will be the subject of documentaries and films, I believe. Bill Gates and his evil partner in crime, George Soros, have played a huge part in this virus that is around the world, whatever that virus may be. When the patent office details become available in the court of law, they will hang him as sure as hell. And I think it was very telling that only last week or the week before, Bill Gates stepped
technical troubles.
down as CEO of Microsoft, and he also stepped his team of what I don't know what to call them, but end of the world scientists are were very involved in hiring the Harvard professors and someone from the CDC. They were very involved in the Wuhan facility of it with the Harvard professors and the actual financing of it with Soros and Gates combined. They have a lot of questions to answer.
I want to say something. That club, David Wilcock in his video described that club as the good guy club.
Thank you. I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, that would be their style. Yeah, they are eugenicists. There's been a habit for us, the unwashed man and woman, the man on the street, the woman on the street, throughout history, to manage to vote into power eugenicists of some repute and some resolve. They always get to the top, and their one idea is the Georgia Guidestones principle, as I call it, which is to polish off a large percentage of mankind and to live in opulent luxury in a verdant green world that they say we're destroying, and to keep another population in another continent, say Africa, in Stone Age conditions, and to use them for spare parts or donors or whatever. Gates's game has been going downhill for a while now. The Gates Foundation was exorcised from India over in the last 2 years. The Indian government will permit no more Gates Foundation vaccine programs, no investment from the Gates Foundation into any Indian projects, and they're suffering the same fate out there as Monsanto and later Bayer faced, and that is a total rejection by the Indian public. There's also a marked kickback against Bill Gates in Africa. There are many African countries that are absolutely against any involvement by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation or Soros in any kind of vaccination or medical program. So I think his time is nigh, and I think if you were to do a deep dig on what we've discovered in just the last 2 years, you'd be satisfied that we had enough for prosecutions. His time is nigh.
Absolutely, and the way that Bill Gates seems to pop up everywhere, over and over again, same face, slightly different situation throughout the years. Books and movies will be made about Bill Gates, but I just want him buried at sea, and I just want to forget him and move on. Oh, and my final thought on the planet, on the state of the planet, on this ecological death of the planet that we're looking at. We didn't kill the planet. We put psychos in charge of it. That's the problem. There's more than enough for everyone on the planet to have a decent standard of living, and overpopulation can be solved over a very, very long time period. And even if it's not, we will still have the technology and the resources to feed everyone and clothe everyone. And you're right, keeping countries, especially African nations, poor and Stone Age, that's just cattle. They don't see the difference between any of us. We're livestock, we're commodities.
Look what they call us. They call us Gentiles, which are maggots, or they call us profane goyim, which is cattle.
Are those the actual chattel? Yeah. Gold stars on it.
I've heard a lot of people recently talking about the burial at sea Can you explain why that is a thing in that related to these bad people? Just to explain.
My own personal opinion is I want no earthly resting place for these people on any land mass at all. Just body bags over the side with a weight in them over deep water and just forget them and move on. Is my own personal opinion, Gold Star.
If you, and this is going a little bit above 50,000 feet and slightly biblical. If you recall the tale from the Bible when Jesus and the disciples were walking one day and they came across a wretch, they came across a man who professed his name was Legion because he had 1,000 demons locked away inside him. When Jesus said to them, "Get out of this man," they said, "But Lord, we can't, because if we get out of them, we will die. Let us inhabit the bodies of these pigs, these swine," and there was a herd of pigs nearby, and he will be free. And Jesus said, "Okay," and they inhabited the bodies of the pigs, and then the pigs collectively ran down a field and jumped off a cliff and committed suicide into the sea. I believe, in my humble opinion, this story is linked to what we are seeing happen now. If you take a demon, in my humble opinion, and this is just my opinion, if you take a demon and you remove it from a man, a woman, a child, and you don't return it to the sea, it will just inhabit again. It will move on. It will inhabit somebody else.
And the spirit entered the swine, and the swine ran violently. Is that the passage you were thinking of?
Yep, and they jumped into the sea.
Yeah, my take on it is that there is simply no place. If we gave these people a proper burial, where would you do it? Would you want these people buried on your land? I want no earthly monument to them. None. Nothing.
I can't wait to get the first stages of this mission, this war overdone. I can't wait to get all of the puppets locked up. And I can't wait for us to climb the puppet master's strings and start going after the puppet masters, because that's our true targets.
On that note, I've been saving an article that I'd like to read now, please. Okay.
Please do.
Yes, just about to begin. Just a moment, please. Okay, this comes from Operation Disclosure. Thousands of children rescued from torture by global elite pedophiles. Byington, as reported in before it's news, and then there's a link here. I'll try and get you to that link if Carmen is able to. Apparently, a Pentagon pedophile task force was working with military, local police, and legal entities across the globe to arrest pedophiles and save the children on Friday, the 11th of October. 10,000 Marines were activated for a civil war against the deep state. By Wednesday, the 16th of October, those Marines had combined with Navy SEALs to rescue 2,100 caged children found in underground tunnels beneath China Lake Naval Facility in Southern California. The children and teens were said to be part of a CIA mind control program and had been sexually abused and tortured, with some killed to collect their adrenaline. That became the super elite's drug adrenochrome. On one day, Al Gore was caught by airport security authorities carrying suitcases filled with bottles of adrenochrome. Many elites appear to be addicted to the substance. They were known to participate in what was called spirit cooking and had pedophile parties culminating in blankety blank, blankety blank, where they would blankety blank the bodies of their victims and blankety blank blank. The global elite, including those in Hollywood, believed that the blood of a traumatized child contained adrenochrome, and drinking it allowed a person to regain their youth. Users reported experiencing a unique feeling of euphoria. The drug was said to remove the life energy of the victim while moving that energy to the consumer of the blood. The drug was also known to cause mental disorders and even death of users. The users were said to be the global elite. Recent rescues of children and arrests of their perpetrators was said to be tied into international child sex trafficking, gun and drug running rings enforced by various mafias, while funded and organized through Clown Mind Control Program, United States Incorporated, Queen's Bank of London, Vatican Bank, and central banks across the globe. At this point now, I will remind you that even just speaking these words here as a group is a victory. I'm going to jump to the end of this article. Just a moment, please. Okay, this article details a whole lot of law enforcement operations. Here we go. Evidently, the White Hats have been busy. According to a Pentagon source, over 500 Federal Reserve employees have been arrested since October the 16th. Prominent political elites such as Bush, Obama, Clinton, H.R. Clinton, Kerry, plus more recently, Pelosi, Schiff, and Brennan have gone missing from public appearances since being accused of perpetrating treasonous acts. And this is the final section that I'll read. Last January 2019, the 9/11 tribunal at Gitmo and has since appeared to have confirmed evidence of these treasonous acts. Apparently, the recent raid on ISIS leader al-Baghdadi also produced interesting evidence. Evidently, the ISIS leader regularly communicated with Obama, Clinton, US State Department. More arrests of global elites were expected shortly. Now, the whole point of that is it might not be 100% accurate, and it might be recycled from other sources of information, like much of the internet is. But it does go to show that we are at war. It's actually happening.
Just then, the Dutch government has called stay indoors this weekend. Stay indoors. Do not go outside.
That's about half of the course in Australia at the moment, mate. That's bad news, Poppy. It's either really good news or really bad news. I don't know yet which.
Well, my glasses always have picked the good news. Something is going down this weekend. I don't know. Just the weather is supposed to be really good this weekend, so could be, could not be, could be anything. But the way they say it,
Indeed.
Don't go outside. Stay inside.
Oh, shall we have a song, Miss Carmen? Something to get people up and grooving and moving, please.
Oz, are you on that?
I feel like dancing.
I don't. I'll just put what I've got queued, okay, and then I'll put another one after that. If you want.
Okay.
Hey everybody, you hear that train coming down the track? The Trump train, and it ain't never going back. All aboard! Come on.
fake news. I've seen people destroyed, and I think it's very unfair. Some of the media outlets that I deal with the fake news. Fake news. I think it's a disgrace, an absolute disgrace, but I don't think they care. Well, first of all, one of the reasons I'm here today is to tell you the whole Russian thing, that's a ruse. It's a ruse. I own nothing in Russia. I don't have any deals in Russia. Russia is fake news. I just see many untruthful things. The press has become so dishonest. The public doesn't believe you people anymore. You have a lower approval rate than Congress. And I've been hearing more and more about a thing called fake news. Fake news. I've seen people destroyed, and I think it's very unfair. Some of the media outlets that I deal with the fake news. Fake news. I think it's a disgrace, an absolute disgrace, but I don't think they care. I'll tell you something, I don't mind bad stories. I can handle a bad story better than anybody as long as it's true. But I'm not okay when it is fake. It's all fake news. I mean, it's story after story after story. We're not gonna let it happen again. The public gets, when I go to rallies, they want to throw their records to CNN. Here's the thing, I want to see an honest press. I want to see an honest press. I want to see an honest press. It's so important to see an honest press. I want to see an honest press. I want to see an honest press, but our nation's reporters will not tell you the truth. So I'll go over just some of them. MSNBC, you are fake news. The New York Times, you are fake news. CBS, NBC, ABC, BBC, LA Times, you are fake news. The Washington Post, you are fake news. CNN, very fake news. Politico, AP, BuzzFeed, failing pile of garbage. And I've been hearing more and more about a thing called fake news. Fake news. I've seen people destroyed, and I think it's very unfair. Some of the media outlets that I deal with the fake news. Fake news. I think it's a disgrace, an absolute disgrace, but I don't think they care.
Okay, Puppy's pointed at us at QPost 1644, and it reads, hang on a minute, June 28, 2018, you are the frame, you are the support. People will be lost, people will be terrified, people will reject. People will need to be guided. Do not be afraid. We will succeed. Timing is everything. Think Huber. Think DOJ/FBI reorganization. Think sex/child arrest/news. And then on this document, it's got an arrow pointing to that line, and it reads, "This is what will come out soon." And the child sex acts. This is what will come out soon, and what will unite people from left to right and make them furious. The culprits will no longer be able to safely walk the streets. Think resignations, loss of control. How do you remove evil in power unless you reveal the ultimate truth? It must be compelling to avoid a divide, political attack, and optics. We are the majority and growing. Worldwide, sheep no more. Together, Q. Excellent. Thank you, Puppy. I'm going to back out now. I've still got another 20 minutes, 25 minutes before I need to wrap the stream up. Is there anything that needs to be tabled or brought to our attention? Now would be a good time to do it. If you've got other sites that need a plug, go ahead and plug away.
Well, I'm going to plug. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Beatles. I hear you, brother. I hear the problems that lots of Anons, lots of patriots are having around the movement, finding sites that are authentic, sites that will treat patriots and Anons with respect. I urge you and everybody that's listening to me speak right now. Look at every platform that you have. Look at every means of communication and comms that you have and utilize it. Talk to your friends. Talk to the people that you would normally talk to in in other servers and other channels, and tell them that this is the place to be 3 times a week. Because if you can grow this place for Dumpster and his great crew, you'll be doing the movement a service, and you'll be doing yourselves a service, because you'll have a safe space to chat in. Dumpster does not run this place like some of the other servers and other channels, and it's not a police state, not that I've witnessed up until now anyway. So spread the word wide and far.
Absolutely not, sir. This channel will stand or fall on its credibility. I will not ask for a penny, and I will not accept a thank you from you either. If you want to thank me, share this channel with someone else who will appreciate it. That's all.
Because when you're on the Discord side, YouTube, and you're looking into a YouTube and you see lots of faces that you recognise, maybe lots of faces that are new to you, makes you buzz. You realise that what you're talking about, what you're discussing, the content you're putting out is what people are wanting to listen to. It's chiming with them, it's vibrating with them. The frequency is right. So Dumpster's building something good here. It's young, it's organic, and he's open to suggestions. He's open to influence from the right people with the right info as to what some of the content of the show could be. He's always looking for new sources of information and new topics and new subjects, as are all of us within the movement. Don't be shy. Grab hold of a mod, grab hold of Dumpster, grab hold of me, grab hold of anybody, and tell us if you'd like to see something figure up the road, maybe next show or a few shows up the road. This is what it's all about. YouTube communicating its desires to Discord, and Discord looking to see if it can facilitate that and improve our knowledge base, improve the resources that we've got in this fight against these evil bastards. Excuse my language.
Absolutely. There was a question from Goldstar Mom, and she wanted to know if she can promote other channels. Absolutely. As long as it's a good channel run by good people with good intent, that's the only parameters that I would set for promoting other channels. Go ahead, make sure everyone can find Right Side Broadcasting, I think it was. Does that sound okay, Goldstar?
I'm going to grab the link and all. They have a chat room connected to the upcoming event that they have scheduled on their page, but there are Patriots in there off and on. It's not active when there isn't an event going on per se, but all the rallies, all of these press conferences and everything, it's another alternative for you to be able to go to. And since you're on the opposite side of the world, for instance, maybe you didn't get to see the president's rally, so you can go back and they interview people for hours leading up to when the president takes the stage. But that's always a great source for rally. And they're all Patriots. And that is where I found out about Q. And if anybody knows who 1992 Dark Horse is, that person is the one who told me about Q. And so one of these days I'm going to find that person to tell them personally, thank you very much. So I'll drop the link for Right Side for you. And no, I do not work for them. I'm not paid by them. I'm just a very loyal fan.
You're in this fight for the same reason I am. I hear that in your voice.
I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for Right Side Broadcasting and Gramps' house, I would have gone crazy in 2016 because I truly was so, I was terrified. The week before the election, I was terrified. I felt if she won, I was going to die. And I was scared. And Right Side Broadcasting and the Patriots in there and all of the people in Gramps' house saved my mind.
Okay, make sure you drop links to those to, was it Right Side Broadcasting? And we've already given Gramps House a plug. We'll give him another one anyway. There we go, Right Side Broadcasting Network on YouTube. I'm going to snatch... Oh, I can't, damn it. I'll have to scroll back later and get that later. Right Side Broadcasting Network. Gotcha.
this Q awakening has really happened. My timeline on Facebook dropped a copy of my timeline, and I've been trying to red pill and direct people to Q and red pill them, and no one just, they were laughing and post, and all of a sudden, 2 days ago, you see this image where you go, oh, we go, oh, it's coming, be prepared. It's one of my gym buddies who was always asleep. And you see 12 others liked it, 10 comments. There's a comment that says in Dutch, but it means on the front row, let the show begin. Another one says amen, and then there's another one that says Q. It's just amazing. When I saw it, I went like, oh my God, it is happening. They are waking up. And remember, this is a gym buddy, and he is a professional bodybuilder. Most of his friends are bodybuilders, and I've done it myself. I use steroids. They're all steroids. Everything they think of is muscles and going to the gym and working out. There's nothing else they look at. And now, all of a sudden, I was in tears. This was so good to see. I was like, at first I was thinking, why am I doing this? Why am I online and only get people laughing at me? And now this is the reward. Life is good.
Amen, brother.
What we're about to go through together as patriots and as a world of those that are just starting to understand and to see, the rest of us that have been part of this process, this is what we've been training for, preparing for, going through all of those seasons of understanding together to be prepared for now. And we've been taught and shown and guided to all the tools, links, all that kind of thing. So now I'm going to put up the tweet that I put out there, and I'm calling all the patriots to action, to take it to the next step. For the lack of a better way to explain it, we've all been groomed to be a leader, and we are either going to lead by example or we're going to fail by example. And so I think we're being called to step up to the next level, and I am going to share my tweet, but this is just a suggestion for maybe how you can help keep getting out QAnon, qmap.pub, keep getting that out there and bringing people over.
I was actually going to say something very similar to that at the end of the program, but you absolutely nailed it. Our skill set is going to become very, very relevant very, very quickly. And at the moment, I'm already active in my community to some degree. So I see that opportunity as something I can take up in the future. You're right. At a certain point, the rubber meets the road, and that's right here, right now. Thank you, Gold Star.
Thank you for allowing me to have room to speak.
The only rules about the bunker, the server that we're all in at the moment, the only hard and fast rule is the first slot goes to Carmen's dedication to remind us all why we're here, what we're doing, why we're doing it. We all have our own reasons. I know that every person in this room, every person on the planet for that fact, has skin in the game. And if you don't understand that at this point, you probably should just get out of the way. Because it's actually coming to pass. And to go back to what Gold Star was saying about before the election, remember, I was a stoner, I was in Australia, and I was watching the election, and it was between Hillary Rodham Clinton, who I knew was thoroughly evil, I knew her background, and the option was Donald Trump, a TV reality star with hair that was too good for his age, and And at that point in time, I would have voted for a sack of potatoes if the potatoes had been up on stage. But Trump won. And then I realized, oh my God, he might not be actually one of them. And then that opened the door slightly, ever so slightly. And that was the beginning of my Q journey. Late November 2016, I believe. Okay, if we've got dead air, does someone want to play a song?
Sure thing.
Yeehaw!
See, that's my kind of people. I could get down with a glass full of moonshine and a fiddle player. I'd love that. That sounds like a great night.
Like full with a glass.
We have a question from B.E. Beatles out in YouTube. He says, Dumpster Truffles, is your schedule still the same? Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 6 a.m. And that's 11 a.m. in the UK, 12 lunchtime for Madrid, and 9 p.m. for Australia. That's all I can remember at the moment, guys.
And that's provided the internet is still up.
Yeah, good point. As long as I am technically able to broadcast, I will broadcast. Of that you can be absolutely sure.
I've lost count tonight of how many times I've had to reboot.
Yeah, not normal.
It's across the servers as well. All servers are getting it.
Or maybe this is just the new normal. Have you had other servers experience this as well, Sativa?
My own server and two other servers that I've been told are having constant problems with live voice, constant problems with the bots. The bots seem to be having a mind of their own. You can't stop them. You type a command and it appears in red, so the bot carries on playing because it doesn't recognize the command. I've been booted from my own server as many as 5 or 6 times in a session. I mean, completely booted from the server, not just booted into text, removed from the server itself. Yeah, this is ongoing. And listen, it's never pretty when you're fighting a war. And when we get this kind of treatment, it always gives me a lot of satisfaction because I know we must be hurting them. We must be really squeezing them tight. We must be right over the target. And the more flack they give us, I think is the more indicative that we're on the right trails. We're following the right lines of investigation. So bring it on if you're listening.
And we are millions strong. Millions. Tens of millions.
Over 50 million in my humble estimates.
Absolutely. And this is just one tiny little organization within a very much larger engine, but we all work together. We maximize our effectiveness by combining as a team, like we are doing right now. And like I said, guys, as long as I am physically able to broadcast, I will be here. Of that you can be absolutely certain. And good night, Puppy Max. I really look forward to your David Wilcox section. And we'll get that mic of yours fixed up as well, mate.
Good night, Puppy.
See y'all. And I just thought it was Wednesday. It's ready for Monday, the David Wilcox session. And I didn't even drink anything.
Haven't even got an excuse. Good one, puppy.
Have a great one. See y'all.
See you later, puppy. And I think I know what it was. This is already Friday, and you were thinking it was Monday. Because we didn't do nothing Monday or Tuesday.
Carmen, do you remember when I got my AMs and PMs mixed up? Oh, no.
That was hilarious.
My sleep patterns have been
I remember.
all over the place. I'd been sleeping 3 or 4 hours here and there for days, not getting decent rest. And then I jumped out of bed and thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to air in 4 minutes. So I sat down at the computer and started talking, and then I realized the sun was going down, not coming up. No, the sun was coming up, not going down. So, it happens, don't worry.
Yeah, it was 4 in the afternoon here, and I wasn't expecting to hear from Dumpster till 4 a.m. the next morning, and then just out of the blue, he's here to start a show, and I was like, oh no, what's going on? As soon as he realized it, though, he went back to bed.
That's hilarious.
Hey, YouTube. Good to see you, JTO Gaming. Good to see you, Juan Regina, and very good to see you, Punky Kuster. Thank you, Patriots.
Yes, thank you one and all. Don't thank me in return. I don't want your thanks. You can thank me by putting this channel on other people's radar. We will be bringing you information. This will be ground zero for information dissemination going forward. That much is certain. And there's one thing that I need to address now. If I was incapacitated, unable to speak, or ill, I can still run the stream, but I would have very little involvement with it. That might be something for you guys to plan for in the future, possibly. But for the rest of the week, until Friday, I've got my schedule cleared. I've got the technology up and running, and we will gel as a team, and we will be effective. That much is certain, absolutely certain. And as always, I'll let Carmen sign off, play our goodbye song when it's time, and then I'll let you sign off with however you see fit. I'm backing out now, guys.
A big thank you to YouTube. Thanks for tuning in this morning and watching us and supporting us. Look forward to seeing you on Monday. Be safe, be vigilant, and keep digging.
We're gonna bow out too. Be a warrior. Stand up. We only get one shot at this, so let's win it.
Hey, there is no other option, Gold Star Mum. There is no other option on the table.
And remember to keep all the sick people and all the children in your prayers this weekend. I love you guys, and I'll see you Monday.
Amen, Carmen. Thanks everyone for being here, for supporting Dumpster and the show, and see you again on Monday. And here's our closing song.
There are times in life when things get overwhelming, and I've gone as far and as long as I can go. And when I need the most, my failing friends astound me. Lord, you're there, you've been comfort to my soul. And I believe in you. Every word that I've heard, and I know it's true. And when I'm walking through the valleys, you will lead me through. 'Cause I believe you're with me, and I will trust in you. I must walk by faith and not by sight, you told me. And there's rewards for those I know that seek your face. But I can use a glimpse right now, Lord, of your glory. And in my darkest hour, you give me strength. 'Cause I believe in you. Every word that I've heard, and I know it's true. And when I'm walking through the valleys, you will lead me through. 'Cause I believe you're with me, and I will trust in you. I raise my hand, sing hallelujah. For you are worthy of our praise. When the storm comes, Lord, I am running to you, and I will glorify your name. Lord, you've walked my shoes, you filled my pain and suffering. And you took the nails for me while I was lost. And all the trials that I go through, Lord, they are nothing, no, compared to what you went through on that cross. Raise my hand, sing hallelujah. For you are 'cause I believe you're with me, and I will trust in